Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Bisbee Arts Commission on Monday, August 23rd, 2021 at 5:31 p.m. This is a special session agenda. First thing we're going to do is a roll call.
Jenny Druckman.
Here.
Juanetta Hill will be excused. Bill Higgins.
Here.
Karen Schumacher.
Here. Present.
Sharon Stetter.
Here.
Amy Brett.
Here.
Angela Rockefeller.
Here.
Nina Williams here.
And Leslie was really overbooked, so I told her it would be fine if she wasn't here since this is a brainstorming session. I'm just going to remind everyone, especially since many of you have not been to a meeting like this before. We had this problem before where when you are speaking, make sure you talk into your microphone.
Like this, and do I have to push the button first?
You push the button and then talk.
How long does it stay on?
It should stay on the whole time you're talking.
I guess.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just,
okay.
it was staying on even though I wasn't talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not used to these either, so you got these snazzy new things. Since we do not have a call to the public this evening, we're going to move ahead to item 1, which is discussion and possible direction regarding the commission holding an event in 2021 including, but not limited to budget, size, location, or type of event. I think that's supposed to be 2022, but I missed it.
I'm sorry, that was supposed to be 2022.
I just caught it myself. So one of the reasons why I thought it would be a good idea to meet together was to sort of gauge our enthusiasm, which is not easy to do when we are on Zoom. And that we do have a really good opportunity where members of the council invited us to apply. And there's several of them that seem very enthusiastic about the idea.
Cool.
I think right now the amount of money that they were throwing around was $15,000, which could be matched or somewhat matched $10,000 from us, giving us a budget of $25,000 to throw an art festival. It goes without saying that an art festival is like a really big job. And that we'd all have to obviously be quite involved to get it off the ground. The ideas that have been thrown around right now were, having an invitational art show inside of one large building, while at the same time, simultaneously, there would be more of like a art and craft booth festival thing outside where people could sell their wares if they wanted to. This is like a very general idea. So by the next council meeting or the one after that, I have to write a general synopsis of what it is that we want to do so council can see it. So we're here this evening to see what you guys think. And if anybody has any ideas, if anybody has any concerns,
Should we just go around the room?
Yeah, that's true. Go for it, Sharon.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that, Karen and I think we already mentioned, visited Dave Rose's studio, and I think he was actually somewhat relieved that we were waiting until October of next year. Because he can relax about getting it done in there, because he's kind of in a relaxed mode. But his response was, yes, we can use his space, we can have an exhibit that would be up for as long as 6 weeks if we wanted to. Now, a 6 weeks exhibit would be the part of it that would be the invitational. But I'd also want to include pieces from the crafts community as well within that. It would not just be just fine art. Jewelers, ceramics, everything that we can possibly display, which means coming up with display units. And so Dave is probably pretty flexible, and this is one of the first points of expense. To use his facility for 6 weeks, he would like $4,000. To use it for 4 weeks, he would like $3,000. Now, when we consider what it would be to rent a tent and try to get all of our, I think it's so much safer, nicer, everything. And so there's a chunk of money right there, just to throw that out there. And that's and then going along further with the invitational exhibition idea. Today I got a call from Peter Young. He's actually, how quiet and non-participatory he can be, and then all of a sudden he decides he wants to be a participant. And he has suggested that he would be one of the, it's not a juried exhibition when we invite people, but he would be a curator for the exhibition. So helping to select what we put into a show. And that's a lovely thing. I want to honor him. He is, an elder in our community, and he's probably not around that much longer. So even though he's not on the commission,
He's gonna outlive us all.
he probably will. But anyway, as an artist, he's never really participated in anything in Bisbee. And he actually is suggesting that he will actually hang one of his works in this exhibition as well. So
In an email he sent to me he did send me a text. Did he get the text too? Where he said that he was not ready to say that he himself would participate.
yes, but I just have to finagle the guy a little bit. He said yes to me, then he said no, and then today it sounded like yes again. But he wants to be involved in the selection of the artists that we put into and like I said, I think there's a way to finesse that. He may have opinions about people, and I tend to not. I tend to not be a judge. I don't like to judge. But yes, we can talk about how many artists. He sent you the list of artists too, didn't he? Okay.
Yeah.
And there are some big holes in that list.
Also, it was a list of 20 men and 3 women. So I'm not particularly pleased with that list.
No. This is just him sitting down one afternoon when I was talking, and I said, start writing these names down. And then I photographed it, and then he decided to, and it's like he left out Sam Wolcott. He left out, really, but it's okay. At that moment, he was thinking about the artists that are about to leave, or that are about to die in our community that we don't necessarily know. Then he added things like Sloan.
I was going to say Poe's not going to die though.
No.
The only thing
I think I put Poe on that list and Sam because.
I just don't want to have somebody that's not on the commission
Right.
in control.
No control.
Okay.
Yeah, no control.
I think it's great to have somebody who is advising.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's great to have a lot of people who are
Yes.
advising.
Yes.
Because I know that you start making a list of artists in this community and you
Mhm. Forget
inadvertently
somebody.
leave somebody off
Yeah.
who it's obviously, but I'm very happy he's willing to participate.
Well, how many artists were you guys thinking about inviting?
He wants to do 20.
What,
I
why
want to do
here?
quite a
Wait,
bit
no,
more.
well, I'm thinking, what did you guys think?
That was me,
About
sorry.
how many
Oh,
artists?
I thought it was me.
That was me, sorry.
I think in a building that size, you probably could easily include, if we're building walls, which you would have to.
Yeah, we can probably have, in using that front room, I think we're gonna limit the number of pieces that artists are allowed to bring into the exhibit. But I would think we could easily show 35 artists.
Okay.
Because one of the risks that we're taking by doing something as an invitational in a town like this is obviously there are always going to be opinions and hurt feelings.
Yeah.
So we have to do it very,
Gotta be careful.
You have to be delicate.
Yeah.
And was this, I know we talked about having it juried or curated.
Mhm.
What's your thinking now on that?
Well, I think an invitational is great because
Mhm.
that's the Arts Commission inviting people to,
Okay,
versus like, there are shows like at Central School all the time where everybody gets to participate.
right.
But the idea behind this money is that this money is supposed to support a subset of humanities or Bisbee that did not, get their full funding, did not get help during COVID.
Uh-huh.
And so in that, we're looking at primarily working artists, people who make their money off of art,
Okay.
you know? But yeah, so it's just, I think you can't just have everyone,
Right.
which is unfortunate in this world. But we're trying to show the greater, area of what we have to offer when it comes to artists.
Okay.
And that one way to circumvent that also is the availability of tents for people who are not necessarily, or people who make things that don't hang.
Right.
Like Sharon said, we have some amazing jewelers, potters, people who don't necessarily
So
fit
when you get
into.
into that, we have 50 artists that we can easily, but if I'm thinking of the walls, if we got 1, 2, 3, that would be 5, 10, 15. I think we can do 35 artists on the walls.
So are you thinking to have the art in David Rose's, and then what about the street?
That would be booths, just the original idea.
And booths for craftspeople and
Uh-huh.
anybody that wants to, That I think we open up to the public for
Yeah.
anybody who wants to take a booth, if we can accommodate that.
And we also could even make that even a little bit more regional, even though that's not necessarily, because we need, getting enough people in the community to have booths might be a little bit harder than having
Right.
regional artists.
So that would be one day or for the booths or two?
We were saying
To a weekend, and then the exhibit hanging longer. Now, it might be too that we should utilize 2 spaces for the exhibition. You know, one in town, one over in Lowell, or maybe 3. Maybe if we could find something in Warren, maybe we could do Warren, Lowell, and Old Bisbee. I don't know where we would put anything in Warren, but it's just another idea. It becomes though, you know, if Dave
Yeah.
Rose is
A monster.
asking, yeah, it becomes a monster.
Yeah, and
How do we staff that? Here's the other
Yeah.
thing. If this exhibition hangs for a period of time, then we would have to staff it on the weekends, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, open to the public. And I think we can do that. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to, you know, sit every Saturday or whatever. Because it's kind of fun to do that, so, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem to get somebody to staff it. I'd sit there myself.
Yeah, it's really babysitting the exhibition, because we're not offering things necessarily for sale, or are we? We are, in that part, I don't know, you know, I don't know if that's where we make our sales, so,
that was, see,
It's
that's still looking
exhibition.
for,
yeah, that's like.
and this is a good thing, so we're straddling the line right now. When I write this report, I do not have to give all the answers. I don't think they expect me to have all the answers.
Okay.
So what we're looking is more of like a basic guideline of what you guys think that should be done, and then we have flexibility. At the next Arts Commission meeting, we have to vote on this idea. That's why we didn't want to do it at the next meeting. So we have to vote and say, we want to have a 2-day festival during this time of year with 6 weeks of it showing at blah, 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 you know, and this is the amount of money that we want to allot for it. So that's why we're here this evening to sort of, you know, and what Sharon and I have done is just brainstorm.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any other ideas, or if they're not familiar with, one thing I think that gets, you know, we take for granted is that some people may not be familiar with, say, Peter Young. So if you're not familiar with some of these people, what you're dealing with is a cast of characters in Bisbee. So, or like David Rose's building. Do you know where David Rose's building is?
I think so, but I do have some comments.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think at the city council meeting, I only saw a synopsis later. I think they're holding off on the applications for this, just so they can, is that wrong?
That's wrong. It's a different thing.
Okay, never mind that.
Nonprofits, and
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but they put out an application for nonprofits.
Oh, okay.
And then it went to city council, and then city council wanted it wanted it redone, how they're doing it, right?
Well, they wanted, evaluate, evaluate how they, like point system for the applications, what criteria do they want to see? And, I think tomorrow night, they're just gonna go over the ones that were on the agenda the last time.
So that's a whole different.
Yeah.
We're in a different group.
That's fine.
So they said with us, just because we're part of the city of Bisbee, we can give an application at any time.
Okay, and then I I had all these notes that I'd written and I left them at home.
It happens to the best of us.
Well, yeah, it's been scrambling for us. But anyway, there were some things I was looking up and thinking about for an art fair that's a couple days that would include the community more. There's, let's see what I wrote, some music. There's some music, and sometimes if you have it as on a schedule and one particular spot where on the schedule these particular musicians would come and
Stage,
yeah, and also if there's any kind of children's events, I don't know if there's anything like that. Maybe a make and take type of art.
Well, we do the Central School does the make thing, and maybe they could get a grant and have a make event at this event.
Yeah, I
So mini-
personally
mini-
could
mini
put
make.
together a make and take
That'd be great.
project. Because I taught art for
Cool,
so
yay.
long that that would be
You've
easy.
got it. Yay,
So that's the
thank
thing,
you.
you know, you want to engage,
Side out.
the music is a great idea. I think that's, the musicians are a really important part of our art community, you know, and we were saying the same thing about performers, finding a way so that performers can participate as well. Oh, why
chair. You can
You're
sit on
welcome
that
to
side.
sit next to me.
I get to mix it.
Yes.
I like that too.
Yeah,
I
I
saw,
would agree.
I saw also there was another art show somewhere that they had it was just kind of fun, but it got people around. They had a little scavenger hunt at the event where, especially if you went for 2 days, where if you could locate or find or do or whatever these items, then you get a little prize or some, there's some incentive to do that. But those are fun.
This is super fun, and I think that those are all great ideas. Did you have any other notes?
Just artist demos. Sometimes an artist could demo, and those are neat too.
Did I hear you mention music also?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely are gonna have music.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is that, so we want to have,
All of our artists get included, yeah. Even
Yeah.
performance, Angela.
Well, and that's, I was kind of waiting for anyone, to
Yeah,
make sure everybody got their
I'm
turn.
oh yeah,
sure.
sorry.
But, can you guys hear me?
That's all for me.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't put my.
We're all talking fairly, I think we'll be
So
okay.
my two things that pop up as far as talking about this event that make me, my insides kind of go, "Ugh," is first of all, just we're a small group and this is a huge thing to produce. And so I get nervous about we can have so many great ideas, but implementing them is just the sheer amount of work.
Right,
I have decided personally I'm not a show producer. I'm like, oh, it's too much. So just that, but I know that we'll talk about it as plans are made. And then because I come from a performing arts background, making sure that we think about not only including musicians, but there's so many other performance arts out there, and we have them here in Bisbee. Not a ton, not a huge group of people, but how could we possibly create something that would allow the community to witness that this is part of our arts community as well. Because we're a very well-rounded arts community, and we're not just, fine art painters and musicians. There's a little bit of everything.
Do you remember when they did the Americana and they had the stage in the dirt parking lot? Does anybody know who
It
did
could
that?
either be at the end of the street or in the dirt parking lot.
they had two, that's right. Yeah, we just have to get, I think it was Shawnee,
Oh, yeah.
or Shawnee, he's in that before at Central School where they pull in that. They did it on the back of a flatbed or something, didn't they?
Yes,
No,
one of them was
did
in the
they?
back of a flatbed and the other one was at a stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, we can have artists at each end, because
Right,
that's
right.
how big that was.
Yeah.
Well, and if we included, I'm thinking, some of the acrobats that I'm working with and dancers is, they don't need a separate thing, they can accompany the musicians.
Okay.
And that's actually preferable,
Yes, I think so.
So that's just something to think about. And I'm hoping that Lunar Landing will be buying an outdoor aerial rig before that time.
And that one, with the aerial thing, just as a note, I know that it came up before with the city of Bisbee, is that sometimes insurance is prohibitively expensive for that, because that's one of the reasons why apparently we don't have circus here anymore.
Yeah, Compton.
Okay.
But I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't do everything, there's just
Yeah.
some things I know, and we'll have to talk to the city of Bisbee.
It is possible to carry your own insurance.
And that's what I've always done as a performer. When I had performer insurance, and always signed anything that basically released liability. And that's how most performers work.
And can I speak to the idea of the anxiety that you might be experiencing? Here's the thing, as we're talking, whether or not you realize that Amy just signed herself up to be the children's art and make and scavenger person. Kind of.
Not all of those.
What I'm saying is, what
Take
I would
for
say is that each of us brings our own staff. my husband, my son, because I've got to build walls in the gallery
Okay,
space.
yeah.
And there's a lot of work that has to be done, this is
Yeah.
true, and I'm not expecting our commission to do all of the work.
We can also
What I
call
want
for
is for-
volunteers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can call from, exactly. So if everybody would understand that I think there's gonna be committees within this idea. A committee of performance person, which would include, that means that you're gonna handle the bands passively. I mean, I'm not saying this is, it's
Yeah,
not it, this is just an
just
idea.
for example.
Or, you'd be head of the committee that, does the auxiliary things.
And we find you
around
servants.
we find you helpers.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying, so that
We
you
break
don't
it
have
down.
to, you don't have to think about the whole event.
Yeah,
You're only thinking about the part of the event that you specifically can address and bring something to the table.
of course.
So, that's how I would deal with that fear,
I-
because the Tempe Fine Arts Center, Tempe, the Mill Avenue show, 4 staff people.
Wow.
And they run a huge event. At the time of the event, that's when they pull in all of their auxiliary needs. And that's where the money goes.
Yeah.
So we want to be really careful of what those things are that we're pulling together. Like we just talked about, do we pay for 2 stages or 1 stage? Or does somebody donate a flat bag and say, please have this event? And, so those are the things we have to work on between now and this event.
Yeah.
How much of it is going to be gifted to us, how much of it we're going to have to be responsible for
Fork out
financially.
for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
25,000 goes pretty fast.
It
It
does.
will. It'll
But
be
it
really
is
fast.
still, it's enough that
It
it
is
makes
enough.
it doable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it also, it makes the whole Arts Commission, I think it would give all of us a sense of doing something that's a little bit,
More tangible.
well, just a little bit, on line with like what other communities do, and a sense of importance about having this event.
Well, I can volunteer my husband and myself
Well, it's funny because when I left the house tonight,
to do the sound system and the music.
Jim was like, I know what you guys are talking about. Think about me before you.
That's what everybody's friends and family members become,
Yeah,
Enmeshed
that's the only way
Yeah.
the arts work. By the
I'm
way.
volunteer.
He doesn't like me to tell people that he can build all kinds of stuff. That's what he did for years.
My husband will do
theater stage.
anything if I just say, hey, can you, whatever.
I know.
Yeah,
Game.
so that's how it works, just to relieve that anxiety, that's how it works. We're not, the group of us, gonna be doing everything. We're gonna just take a portion and then make it happen, and that might mean that I'm asking everybody who's, significant others to come and help it.
But we have time,
Yes.
and I feel
October
that.
gives us, it's not as much time as it seems, but it's time enough.
Yeah.
It's time.
It's time enough to break it down and sort of be like, you're gonna do,
A, B, and C. And
that's it. Right now it seems enormous, and
Mhm.
it will always be enormous, but it'll seem a lot more manageable if we go over the next few months and start breaking it into little pieces.
Organize and delegate.
of course.
Juanetta?
So, since I just got here, have you determined the month that we're going to do this? Can you
We're
give me-
aiming for October of 2022.
Which is excellent. And so October, but not a date, just a month.
Not a date right now. We might have one by the next meeting,
Okay.
but it still involves, everybody's canceling everything right now, so it's really hard to gauge where things are gonna land.
Yeah.
But there is this thing, when you're a kid and you licked your food so nobody else would eat it, sometimes if you schedule things far enough in advance, you can lick a weekend in October and nobody will touch it because they're too terrified to, And that's how it goes, that is how it goes with scheduling events in this town.
Yeah.
There's some that are not going to move for us,
Yeah.
but we can, the sooner we have a date, the better off we'll be.
The stair climbs.
Yeah, I'll propose that perhaps we do it the weekend of what would be the Brats, the Bisbee Rolling Art Transport Society, and let the Brats lead the event by rolling their carts down for the festival.
Not down their own pit.
No,
It's like-
just that short little dishes.
I'm just
Oh, wouldn't that be fun if we actually got the bike path, they could go around the
Now you're
pit.
terrifying me.
Not
They would
fast.
be breaking down.
They'd be busting into flames.
Yeah, parts flying.
Was that it, June, that question?
Yes, have you been talking about the location of it?
We've been talking about Lowell, because David Rose's Chevrolet building would be a great place to have the invitational part of it, so the hung show.
Okay.
I am actually, just as a heads up, I'm expecting maybe a little bit of pushback about Lowell.
Okay.
Certain community members that will go unnamed have told me that events should take place where businesses are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
that
so
we're
I don't know if
drawing
the council's gonna
crowds
say the
to where
same thing.
businesses are.
It's possible I could give a proposal to the council without knowing with being flexible. It depends on what they think. But I had a few community members tell me that they thought it was unfair to be spending city money when you're not around businesses of the city. Granted, we are spending money for the artists, not necessarily for businesses.
Right.
So I can see an argument that would go both ways.
Right.
So how could they not, excuse me, rephrase. Having the event itself benefits everybody in the community. I know we've had an event before where the buses actually transported people to the city and back.
That was Americana. Americana did that.
Yeah.
That's another thing about Lowell is we have limited parking.
Very.
But pretty much parking. In fact, if we leave the parking lot on top available, and then use the parking at the pit,
Well, we don't want people walking around the pit. There will not be a bike path by next fall.
no.
No.
There is a sidewalk though from that parking lot too. It's not great, but
It's this wide.
it's like a balance beam.
That's something that we're gonna have to,
Discuss, yeah.
and maybe we can work out with the city of, I just keep on saying city of Bisbee.
It's also parking over in Saginaw area.
They use the high school too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say also, we're gonna certainly promote this in Phoenix and Tucson. And so we expect to get an influx of people in town for the weekend specifically for this. So that'll pacify the businesses, I think, somewhat.
They have to stay somewhere, and
Right.
I mean, it's much easier. My thing when I agreed with Sharon about it was that it is much easier to shut down Lowell
Yeah.
than it is to shut down.
Main
Right,
Street.
because a
Main
lot of people on Main Street are gonna be not happy,
Right.
no matter.
On weekend.
And it's not
especially.
easy for people at Central School either. I mean, I love Central School for local things, but when we're bringing in out-of-town people, I think we can make this work.
Yeah, I'm just
So-
expecting somebody to ask that question at the city.
Well, we'll just say, you know what, Lowell is part of Bisbee as well.
Well, like the home tour and the garden tour, those are all spread out, including.
And our
all of
city hall
Bisbee.
happens to be in Lowell right now. And it would be a nice thing to even
For a second, I was like, wait, is it?
We are.
we just keep moving every week. Next week it might be.
Bill and I drove over here one day because we forgot where City Hall was.
Is it possible in our marketing to do it in such a way that it is inclusive, rather than to say that the impression is that it's just enrolled? But if it is an inclusive marketing, targeting, you can, we have the antique and the unique stores, etc. So that they see that we are looking to.
Oh, people coming will figure that out.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's a
But the
great idea.
merchants,
You
the
can ask,
merchants, I'm
we
thinking
can ask
specifically about.
the Quarry or the Grand or any of those places to book things and we can advertise that for them too.
Yes.
Like you stay in Bisbee the whole weekend.
This is what else is going on.
But there's all these other things going on too.
Plus, like the scavenger hunt could be all over Old Bisbee as well as Lowell, and that would help to draw people into those parts of town.
Yes.
And I also thought that we could potentially give booths to businesses, craft businesses in town, or to the nonprofits. We probably should give the art nonprofits. There's not just, we get KDRP, but if each of those could have a booth in the festival, I think that would be more
The
representational.
library needs a booth, the
Yeah.
science lab needs a
Yes.
booth.
Yeah.
Did everybody get to say did they all, everybody get to go down the comments? We went, got out of order.
We skipped over Bill and, Bill, did you have comments?
I thought I made some.
You did.
You did, but
So let me ask you guys a few questions, and none of these are going to be permanent. So, how many artists are we thinking for the Invitational? You said 35 to 50? How many booths?
We need to measure that street.
If you were to give a rough estimate of what you think would be appropriate, this is what we're looking, like I'm saying, we're not, nothing's concrete.
Not excluding these science lab, library, KBRP booths, I would hope that we could at least have 10 on either side of the street, so 20.
We could
15
do-
to 20 maybe?
Yeah.
You could probably have more than that.
I was thinking 15 on each side.
So let's say,
That, 30 would be really optimistic.
Would
I
that-
mean, to
But
get
have
this-
we got that many craftspeople
Maybe
that
not,
would take a
actually.
space?
Yeah.
You know, we've got the Fiber Guild, we've got the clay, we've got a lot.
Thirty's
to draw
a good
from.
number to shoot for.
and that's one of the reasons too is that we could do regional and ask people who are regional to have booths if they wanted to. It wouldn't just have to be, because so many people work and come to the city to sell their stuff, and then, so I'm still open about that one too.
Would that, as long as it, like, you can still qualify for the emergency rescue money.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
and
might have some parameters or limitations.
I'll ask them.
I think they're gonna hammer all that out tomorrow.
But that's a different,
No, I meant for all of it.
oh, for all of it?
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna start,
Dividing money.
Well, they have to have specific guidelines, which they don't,
Yeah.
aren't clear, that they, I think some of
I
them.
think last time it wasn't very clear, and that was when it was confusing. I know Central School applied for money, Science Lab applied for money,
The Bloomers,
yeah.
the museum.
So, but we've been told that because we have a very good, I think people are very supportive of this idea because we're part of the city of Bisbee, and because it's specifically a group of people that you can pinpoint that probably did get had financial hardship because of galleries and everything being closed. But yeah, well,
Would it be worth going to measure the, sort of go over there?
Where actually,
See.
because not every, we can't block the fronts of people's, yes, it would be worth going.
So we need some kind of map. We should have a printed map on the event anyway, that has the,
Yeah.
booths. But
would
that would be
anybody like
good.
to measure Lowell?
Oh, I'll measure a little.
You and I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we'll know better, spacing for safety and.
That'd be easier to plan things out anyway.
How does it impact the vintage cars that are up and down the street?
They just stay there all the time. They'll
There's
just stay there.
It'd be really fun to take over the Greyhound bus though and do somebody, if the Greyhound bus would.
Have
open
something
up.
in
I don't know
there.
who owns it.
That's Jay.
Is it
That-
Jay's?
Yeah, Jay Allen.
So we're talking about 2 days over Brad's weekend, that's the third weekend in October?
I thought third weekend was
Isn't that the stair
stair
climb?
climb.
We're.
When is the stair climb?
Stair climb is the
Third.
third.
Last weekend is Brad's, so.
Last week.
Third Saturday.
How did it work? Whatever, we're going to make more.
Brad's is the weekend after.
We're always after the stair climb, so let me just tell you when we are. so
Are
that
we
can-
okay following the stair climb?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Brad's has done really well following the
Oh,
stair
yeah,
climb.
that's good.
So there's a lot of weekends in October 22.
I'm gonna look, yeah.
Because they're, October 1st is a Saturday.
Oh. Or go to 2021.
You can look on your phone, Kelly.
So
I
probably
can't, my
the
phone's
stair
gonna
climb
die.
is probably on the 15th, because it's always the 3rd, right?
Yeah, just look at it.
So I think Brad's was the fourth.
So then
weekend.
there's a 22nd available.
Well, looking at this month, maybe that was what I was intending to do, was looking at this month, this year, we're on the 23rd, which is
September, and then
of October.
All right.
Our event is on the 23rd.
It was August of 2022.
That's October is what we want.
Oh.
So,
So,
we are the 1, 2, 3, we are the fourth weekend, because the
I think
third
the city,
weekend
the
is
city
the.
probably has a map of
Does that
Lowell
help
too.
you?
Okay.
That's
Sure.
2022.
So just to confirm, we are the fourth weekend.
Fourth weekend.
So let's see, what's the fourth weekend of October 22?
It's the 22nd.
Yep, oh, there you go, yeah. 22nd.
2 days, Saturday, Friday.
And that would be
Saturday,
10, 22, 20, 22.
Wouldn't that be
Some
cool?
magic numbers going on here.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Did you want 2 days?
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, or
Saturday,
Saturday,
I
Sunday?
think Saturday,
Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday.
22 and 23.
22 and 23. And then we're talking about letting the invitational run for 3 or 4 weeks.
I think we should do it just for a month. I think 6 weeks is too long.
Yeah,
Maybe till
I agree.
Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe until Thanksgiving
Let's see what
weekend.
that is.
That would be,
Pull up your phone again.
oh, yeah, why not?
Let's do that again. I don't have that far in here.
Oh, Thanksgiving would be the 26th.
So from the 22nd to the 26th is how many weeks? Is that 4 weeks
Yes.
or 5 weeks? It would be fun to keep it up through the Thanksgiving weekend and end it
Right,
that weekend.
because that's also a home tour,
Yeah.
usually. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're gonna do it, but
So another important number that I need is an estimation of how much it would cost to build the walls.
it's 5 weeks.
Build what?
Yeah.
Build the walls.
For
Yeah.
painting the art.
We're just hoping that construction materials come down in price. They're really high right now. So we can estimate that.
I know. So could I have to put a budget together? So the measurement of wall will be great. The city also will have a map of wall, so I'll get a map from them. Estimation of the walls, I need an estimate of how much we want to spend on advertising, which actually is probably one of the bigger numbers. And then we have to look at, the city no longer has booths, because they burned. Yeah. So we have to either ask people to supply their own, or we have to supply them. Tents.
Like the shade structure.
Yeah. But all of these actually can be filled in pretty well. Does anybody have anything they want to say about this idea in general?
I think
Or
it's
do
a
you-
great idea.
See, Amy down.
There you go. It does.
That's a great idea.
No, so what I'm gonna do is that, so you guys get the measurement of the wall, we'll get an estimation of the walls, we have an amount that would be charged. We also have to talk about security. If we're leaving booths up, we're gonna have to pay somebody to watch them overnight, or people are gonna have to take all their stuff, which they're not gonna wanna do, probably.
I wonder if we could use the fiber, what is that? Dennis
Yeah.
Rodney's. Deb would let us allow, if she could make room for people to put their stuff away at night. We'd have to ask, but somebody else on the street.
Well, some people also, they
No.
build a whole crazy, they have a crazy booth, they're not gonna wanna put up.
Take the booths down.
Break it down.
So the
Right.
security, I think we can hire, in the past, people have hired the city of Bisbee cops. Overhire,
Well,
I thought Austin was over. And then I think that we also have to supply people, we have to pay for public safety at the ends of each road, so nobody drives through the art
get
festival.
some barriers.
And I'll talk to the city about those, I know there's a breakdown of those costs.
There are, but I don't believe they do the barriers anymore or the signs. You
Okay.
have to provide those yourself.
So you want a police officer or a security guard for,
I have to look at the public works form, there's certain things they require.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do before the next meeting is sort of come up with like a fairly soft budget of what these things, what we're looking at. 'Cause we need it to equal $25,000. Unless we're gonna start asking for sponsorships to get over that or something.
so it goes down to 3,000 to Dave Rose, I hope. I think we can do that.
Good? Sound shifting. Anybody got any?
Whereas if we did it at Central School, it wouldn't cost us. Just saying,
$100.
it's a lot of money, but
Well, I don't know,
I mean, I really like the idea of roll.
Yeah, me too. We could ask Central School, they might be.
Central School is, as big as it is, it's really small, like
That's
how
true,
many
with walls,
exhibitions in there.
you're right.
And the walls are really hard to hang on.
Okay.
And we'd have to paint and there's things that still have to be done. The beautiful thing about Dave's space is it will just be newly finished.
And it's a beautiful, unique space.
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
We do have to be open to the possibility that
It might change.
we will get pushback on that.
I know.
Yeah. Does that all make sense to you guys? Does it seem like that's something that we want to do? I mean, that's the main thing. The next meeting, we're gonna vote on if we're gonna do it or not. And so we're having this meeting tonight to kind of get everybody on the same page about what it is, because it kind of came out of nowhere
Yeah.
a little bit. And we can still, you know, like I said, this is gonna be very soft, so it's gonna be a discussion that goes on for many months about what it really means. Does anybody think it's a terrible idea? Like, oh my God, what are we thinking? Why did I join this commission?
My husband is thinking that.
Just use my husband, he's
Yeah.
fine with it.
I think
I
it'll
think
actually
it's
be, the nice thing about these events is that like it really, for those of you who weren't here for the art auction that we did a few years ago, it like really brought us all together.
It was a lot
And
of
we
fun.
suffered together.
A lot,
And
but we
we had-
had such a good time.
We had such a good time. So suffering equals happiness.
The Catholic in me.
Yeah, self-flagellation. It's artistic self-flagellation going on.
Yeah. The one more thing I would want to say is, I would love for somebody to brainstorm, or all of us, not somebody, but all of us to think pretty,
About
strong,
name.
a name of the event. Yeah, to name this event. Bisbee Arts Festival, the BAF, you know, I mean, that's kind of boring, or the Art Festival of Bisbee, those are the, but it's so obvious what it is.
Mhm.
Nice to have that obviousness, but if something comes up, you know, because we're a really quirky, unique town, and I think we can have a really unique name for this event. So just,
Or we
Play
could
with-
have it, or we could have an
just,
acronym.
yeah, just a,
Like Brad.
We could have an
yeah,
acronym.
yeah. Just
So
a
we have,
cunning wordsmith in
in
here.
October, we have the stair climb, we have brats. Did you say
The
we've
home
got the home tour? So it's gonna be a very, very, very
Home tour is
busy-
November.
November, thank you.
And I was saying that we combine the Bratz event
We'll
with
piggyback.
this, piggyback the two together, since it is the Rolling Art Transport Society, and Lowell is all about those old cars, and the Bratz will move their roll from the Copperman through Main Street, potentially over to Lowell, or do two rolls.
And it is one
You
of
know,
the
do
more
a roll
charming
on
things that
Saturday,
we.
yeah.
I was thinking of barf.
Barf.
Bisbee Arts Rolling Festival. But I don't know, that doesn't
I'm
quite.
thinking no.
Barf. I'm gonna barf.
That is clever.
It is,
It would
is.
stick.
It would stick,
too.
you're right.
So I think we're in a good start here. I am always conscientious about keeping 9 to 2 long. So
Yeah.
unless somebody has something to add, what I'll do is, like I said, I'll write a breakdown with all these ideas, and then I'll submit it to you guys at the next meeting, and then we'll vote on it and go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds beautiful.
So if you think of something in between, you know, then now, once again, you can email Nina, she'll forward it to me, we can add it to it, okay? And with that said, does anybody have anything else to add?
Not to this topic.
Then we'll go to item 2, discussion regarding artwork for the tribute window. Tony
Soderston.
thank you very much.
So I have on my phone a collection of some of the art that people are willing to donate. I don't know how to do it. Should I pass my phone?
Yeah.
You can.
You don't, I've seen some of it, so you don't have to pass it to me right away, Jenny.
It's
Question, did you,
It's an album. You could.
Jenny, did you check in with the Greenway Elementary? Apparently they have a sculpture.
Yeah.
Is
I
it-
haven't checked in with them.
Okay, let's see if we
I
can
thought
get
it
that.
was, all right, check in.
If we can't, it's okay. It might be too much. I don't even know what the piece looks like at Greenway. Have you seen it?
I don't remember it. I mean, I did.
Tony did a piece and it's over at the
The
Greenway
two
Elementary
children.
School.
Sculpture.
He works there, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember it either, so ask Kenny. Maybe Kenny knows. Supposedly there's one there. That's what Peter Young told me.
And these are things that
For our
people
next
have
tribute.
Already.
that they would.
Yeah, for the
volunteer.
Yes, they
How
are.
many pieces
That's
of
quite
art
a
do we
lot.
have
I
then?
know, we've got them all. Some of them are from her daughter. The best ones are.
I haven't been, I'm not
From her
responsible
daughter.
this time.
Hey, I'm so sorry to interject, but remember, we cannot talk over one another, because it'll become, then it'll be impossible to write a breakdown of this meeting. Right, that's what she definitely, you give us the early days
Took us down a little bit.
where people were yelling over each other. And Poe used to jump over the
That was funny.
He also wrote our names on the back of the city council.
So that we could turn our names.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna start calling you Joni, Anna, Mel.
Yeah,
I'm okay with being printed.
How many pieces total do you have now,
I
Jenny?
didn't count yet.
Oh, sorry, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have, I think, more than much fit in the window.
There's,
Remind me what our deadline is for, when are we trying to get it in?
October is our changeover date.
yeah.
What are you doing?
So we'll do the same thing where you
This
can,
October.
Oh, that's
Not next October.
2022.
this is for the window.
Yeah, this is
It's like-
2021.
Thank you. Yeah,
Great. So we have plenty of the podiums, what are they called, for the Art Central School.
The pedestals.
That'd be
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can borrow, we actually already borrowed some.
How many do you have, Karen? Do you know?
We probably have like 20 different
Oh, wow.
sizes.
That's great.
We have a couple in the window already, that Central School may have forgotten that we borrowed.
I'm seeing
Are we
approximately.
allowed to paint them?
We can paint them as long as we paint them back.
Back to
Right.
their, okay.
Yeah, but there's about 20, 22, yeah, this will be good.
Karen?
Oh, sorry,
It looks
Carol.
like-
Sorry.
So are we talking about taking all of them then, or?
No, we're talking about just letting everyone see. I mean, some of them are clearly better than others of them in terms of what would show well.
How we did the last window is we'd get more stuff in than we actually use, and then we give it back.
Okay.
So it would be easier to install the exhibition after we have everything we're working with,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So would it be helpful, Jenny, if we had a day where we were at the museum and able to accept pieces from people, and they could bring them to us, or?
That's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll do on our next agenda is that we'll put a
Pick
name
that
about
day, okay,
vote on day. So it'll be sometime in the middle of October probably.
for receiving art.
Oh, really? Middle of October?
Well, just, it'll have to be after the first week because we don't have a meeting until then.
Oh, I thought, okay, so it's going in by the end.
Yeah.
So vote on receiving pieces. Date, that way we can just sit there and people can just bring it. Because I know it's, when you're moving pottery like this, it's just nerve wracking.
Oh, yeah. There's.
The least we have to handle it, the better, I mean, the fewer times we handle it, the better, so.
Mhm.
And are we specifically talking about taking them, are we gonna invite people to bring them all? These are great.
Aren't they great? Yeah.
Jenny, could you send me, like 3 pictures of
Oh, yeah.
that I can say, keep your
Coming.
eyes open, coming to our
Yep.
trivia window?
Tony Saperstein.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely say that taking this one, the Cerberus, the 3-headed dog,
We can't do that.
is too big.
She said, I took a picture, I'm sorry, I should have taken it out of there. It's not gonna like withstand any
Okay.
movement and it's way too heavy.
That totally makes sense. I was thinking about it's always nice to have small pieces and big, like, you know.
I
Yeah, that's why
know.
we're
It would
gonna
be
look
really
at,
good,
the
but
Greenway School has this piece that could be very cool,
I
but.
think we need a winch for that, but maybe my son has something like
Seems
that.
like,
Okay.
seems like one of your children would. I love the poster, that's great.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I don't personally know about is hanging bowls so that they're gonna be visible.
I know how to do it.
Okay.
all right.
All right, so.
There's a lot of, what I'm hoping is there are like
The
3 or
platters, I know how
4,
to hang, bowls we'll put down.
3 or 4 like tile pieces that are already set up to hang on a wall. I think, well, hopefully we can kind of leave it at that. And mostly use pedestals.
And what we're also gonna need is, this is not artwork, but words are art, so, someone who was close to her
Uh-huh.
to at least to
Right.
tell one of us or to write themselves, you know, a general, you know, biography about who she was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we'll still need probably additional photos of her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely, photos of her.
Yeah.
The pictures are good. I think it'll be enough. But yeah, we can borrow those, things from Central School to set anything on.
So we're not selling.
By the way, there was some left in the window,
Just,
on table,
Just
I mean,
a
at
corner,
the, just, you know, Main Street.
Oh, the rest are, oh, I know. I've
We need to
spread
get them
them.
back. Yeah,
Wait, they're there right now, right?
yeah, they're still there, but they're, you know, Michael's taking that over. Just so you know, there's some pedestals that don't belong to the pages, they belong to Central School.
How did the pedestals get to the pages?
Well, because it got left in there when the Brats did their event, then I used them for the Pride Weekend event. There's just a few pedestals that we left in there.
Yeah, I just didn't understand how, because I took pedestals to Restoration Museum, but
Yes,
those,
but there were
those
some
needed-
also at the, yeah,
How-
I don't know.
That's so weird, they got down there.
Sharon did it.
I didn't do it.
No, I don't think somebody definitely did it without,
Yeah, without the knowledge.
yeah, so we'll have to say, get those back.
Might have been Pope.
Sounds like Pope.
There's good down state.
So photos, words about her, you know somebody close that would be good about,
Okay?
and then we'll vote on a receiving day.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else about that? Do we feel like it was useful being here this evening?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a good idea to meet in person.
I know, it's a lot more, easy to gauge people, for
One
sure.
other needs one.
I was wondering, can I have a few moments about the Instagram thing?
It's not on the agenda, sorry.
Oh, I thought we tried to put it on last time.
Well, it'll be on every regular agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, this is a
Great.
special meeting,
okay.
special
Um,
session.
I'm making decisions for you guys, so.
We trust you to make decisions.
Okay.
I have one last thing to say, is the man available? For the,
Yeah, he could be.
I just, the size wise, I was just.
Yeah, it's a
thinking-
good size, that's why I included that one.
Yeah, these are beautiful. Okay. Anything else regarding item 2? Then I'll turn it over to Bill Higgins.
I move that we adjourn.
Second that.
All ayes?
Aye.
Good evening.
Very great meeting.